Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Today we're going to cover some preferences, navigation, and quick tips for Bluebeam Revu, that is, and jump in. So as we go, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and then we'll open up the mics here later on for anyone to ask any type of questions that they want. So Tech Tip Tuesday, share some tech tips. Like I just said, goal is to create a safe space to start sharing and navigating. What and why Bluebeam? So Bluebeam is probably the construction industry standard for PDF marketing. Interestingly enough, Bluebeam could have been the next Procore. It could have been a bunch of different technologies all rolled into one if they would have got their act together and really pushed themselves ahead. They did not. So they kind of stuck to PDF editing and drawing management, and that's it. Now everything's moved to the cloud. PDF reviews kind of stayed the same for honestly the last 5 years or so. If you have any questions there, happy to have that conversation about it. But basically, it's a markup tool. It's still just PDFs. Maybe eventually we'll get away from PDFs. It also has a great takeoff tool for anyone that's doing takeoff inside of PDFs. Can replace a lot of the more expensive tools like on-screen takeoff and things like that if you properly manage it. So real-time collaboration using Bluebeam Studio. If you want, to date, I think it is the only tool that I'm aware of that lets you do real-time collaboration in PDF. If anyone else has any others out there, let me know. Really kind of interested in figuring that out. Okay, so and why use Bluebeam? Measurement and markup? It's built for AEC. It's built for our industry as a whole. It streamlines, like we talked about with the studio sessions. You can build custom tool sets. So if you want to create markup and review things over and over again, these custom tool sets are really helpful in that. And hopefully with batch features and automation, we can make things a little faster. Today we're going to talk about a couple of these things. First of all, getting your preferences right, things like auto mark, visual search. We might get into legends and layers and batch slip sheeting, but honestly, that's a more detailed training for today. I got a bunch of quick hitters for everyone to go into, and we'll take it from there. One thing I will mention, and I'm still trying to figure this out, is my biggest complaint about Bluebeam is just how long it takes to open up that first document. So what I typically will do is have it sitting here empty. You can add it to your startup program so that you can have it sitting here empty. They used to have it sit down here in your launcher at the bottom right as a file. I don't know if we can still do that. I was looking up this morning if there were ways to actually get it to sit there and be able to launch faster. They used to have it sit there, but I guess people complained about the startup time for their computers because Bluebeam was loading in the background. So if anyone has any tips on that, please let me know. That one is just a pet peeve of mine, so I'll just have it open. First thing I want you guys to look at is your preferences, or are your preferences. Some quick things that I recommend doing. We'll just start at general here. Always go ahead and update your username. Sometimes it's like a random computer name in here. So I like to put this username as that. And then I actually like to add something like the company name here, because a lot of times you'll get all your markups and all your comments will have that username actually tied to it. So that makes it really important to have it there, sitting there. That's just a lot more effective that way. Then you have your navigation as the next one. Out of the box here, these is set to zoom and one of them set to scroll. Actually, it's this way. I like to just make them all scroll. And then remember, you can hold in control on your keyboard and scroll to zoom in and out. So it keeps that functionality the same. What I found, if they're different, I never know if I'm in single page mode or full page mode, and that just makes it really painful. So there's a bunch of, just so you know, there's a bunch of little tools here that you can look around and figure out. I'm going to just hit the highlights here. So I would take a few minutes to go through and look at these and decide for yourself whether or not you want them. So snap, I recommend hitting snap to content and snap to markup on if you want. That will make it have things a little bit easier. So moving that and turning that on as well. Interface here, nothing really in your interface I want to show you too much, except note that you can integrate with SharePoint. So if you're a company using SharePoint, you can just open files up and forth. We talked about OneDrive last week, but you can just open them up right from SharePoint. The nice thing about this is this will actually check in and check out files. So it will lock them down. You can't co-author in SharePoint. You can't have multiple people working on the same file. But if you connected it to SharePoint, your SharePoint environment, you can lock files. So is it really necessary? No, but locking files is sometimes helpful. Nothing there. Just nothing really on this that I want to highlight for you, but take some time to look at some of these and decide what you want. The last one I'll say, yeah, I don't really look at anything on these, but the last one I'll say is go check this out. So if you have your computer running a little slower than you want it to, you can change this. By default, it's called on iterative draw. You can change it to wait for completion, and that's going to actually load the page faster. What will happen is it will load it as a blank page, and then all of a sudden you'll see all the content, but overall that's faster. So a lot of times you'll get a set of plans that have layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, and iterative draw will just load that layer by layer by layer by layer. Wait for completion will load everything and have it all at once. We can go ahead and click OK. There's a dark mode here as well. I'll show you what that looks like. So click OK. So then you have a couple little things in here on the left-hand side. A couple ones that I like here is like using this file access. I didn't used to use this much at all, but I now find that this is a great way to have it sitting there. And the nice thing is you can actually drag files here and you can drop them into like, let me go here. So I'm going to open up a new message. So I'll often come right here. I usually do it on two different screens, but you can drag and drop like your PDF right there. So that ability, just that quick thing, like where's that PDF live? Well, I looked at it last in Bluebeam. So let me just drag it and place it right there. So that really makes it helpful really quick to get to it. So I'll just close that. Don't need that. We'll use this construction set for most of our conversation today. This is the dark mode if you really want to go dark mode, if you wanted to. Sure, I'll leave it like that. That's a little softer on the eyes. Let's talk a couple little quick navigations basics here to make yourselves feel comfortable. Across the bottom here, some things that you should know about are just a split. And the nice thing is about this split is you can drag this over on another screen and just set it there. And now I can have the same thing. And if I go here under view, I can synchronize the page. So now if I'm scrolling up and down, well, let me pull it back over so you can actually see it. Scrolling up and down, I scroll to the next page, it actually moves this page. So I could even go here, go to a couple different pages. Now I move back and forth, it's going to move that same document. So just that synchronization there under view is really helpful. So you can synchronize page and document. I rarely ever synchronize document because that's like page 1, page 2, page 3. I synchronize just the page of the document. And here's those snaps, just so you know that they're there, that we talked about earlier. And I'm going to turn back off and we'll just go to light mode here for now. Okay, so fit to page or continuous mode. Continuous mode is that scrolling. You'll see the line here. Single page, one page mode. I flip page by page by page by page. So personally, I'm more of just like, let's live in continuous mode here. Your hand tool, couple things here. You guys should basically know how these work. You can select your text. You can select a markup. You can zoom in and out. Really kind of the important things here to note that I didn't know about all the time here was like, if I type in 28, I can just go to 28. Page 28. If I type in 43, it will just go to 43. Another cool thing is like previous view here, having this and just jumping back. That's almost like a back page in your file explorer. So that's really helpful for you as well there. That's pretty much it as far as navigation. Just note here that you have these. You can always drag and drop your different items and like pin them down to the bottom. You can slide them back up. So like if I had my tool chest, for example, and I always wanted to have my tool chest open, I could just drag it down here and move this up here so that I can see it and look at my thumbnails. So that's really helpful. You also have your markup here. You can switch the way that markup is going back and forth. So do something like this is really helpful as well. Gives you less area here to look at things, but that's okay. While I'm here on the thumbnails tool, I'm going to make sure everyone knows how to use AutoMark. If you haven't used AutoMark, you need to start doing so. And one of the first things I do when I have a set of plans is I'll go ahead and use the markup, auto markup. So you come here, zoom into the page number, check, you go ahead and select create page labels, and you can select page region. So just highlight the page number. And what this is going to do is relabel this. So it's finding that page number, and it found a little extra. So let me hit cancel, select. Oh, it found that number 1. So we're going to, the revision number 1 there. And make it a little smaller. And then I put a space dash space. You can add an additional item. So I'm going to go up here, drag it up here to my elevations and openings. So highlight that. And then we just go ahead and click OK. I'm just, for sanity, I'm going to click current. So we're going to click OK. So it would actually relabel that. Let me actually delete this so that you can see what it does, because I already did this one. So that's real quick auto mark, select page region, highlight that. Add it again. Here, click OK. We're just going to do the single page. Doesn't take too long, but you can see how it labels them there automatically. Another thing you can do right there is then go into like bookmarks. If you like to see it by bookmarks, you can do the same thing. I can go create bookmarks, and I can do it by page labels. Click OK. It's going to create all my page labels here for me, which I already had in here. So doesn't hurt anything, but you can easily jump back and forth. Another thing to just note, so a lot of people, I'll tell them to use Windows Shift S for like highlighting something, right? Snipping tool. I actually recommend inside of Bluebeam, make sure you're using the snapping tool or snapshot tool. So just press G on your keyboard. So these little characters, by the way, are just quick keys to get to them. So just press G. This will make a much higher resolution snapshot tool than, or like photo. So I can be as far out as I want. So let me show you that. That's a little bit more intelligent. If I zoom in on it, it still has some pretty good resolution. If I would actually go ahead and paste that other markup, you see how this gets pixelized pretty darn quickly if I zoom in, right? I can't read that. So just remember that using the G or the snapshot tool rather than your markup. Bluebeam will give you all of these markups here at the bottom. A lot of these are automatically created when you export a PDF. Like these are actually just AutoCAD exports. Remember, you can always come into document and flatten that markup. I like to do that when I'm looking at the first set of plans. So I'm just going to flatten that. It's going to take all these markups out. They're already integrated here. Don't really need them. Let's let it churn through that. So now I have no markup. So now when I go ahead and highlight something, it will now appear with my own markup and my own author list there as well. And kind of work your way through. A couple other little things. So you have your typical markup list, and those can be added to your tool chest. So we could have another whole conversation on our tool chest. But when you drag and drop, if you want to make this making a new default markup. So I don't like these colors. It's kind of negative. I can check this preferences or properties here on the left-hand side. For the most part, I can also, I open up the settings here at the top. You'll see them there. But you can change like your text style to green or to blue. I like blue a lot better. And then you can right click on it and set as default. You can also take this and add it to like my tools as a new tool here. So I just added this one here as a tool, and I can use that over and over again. Or if I double click on that, it will go to properties mode. So properties mode, just make sure it gets the same settings each time. I can also, if I wanted to, one thing I do is like if you needed to apply this markup over and over again, you can right click and you can, I guess not, I grab something else. You can apply to pages and you can select any kind of page that you want to apply it to. So I could do custom range. I could apply it to the next page. I could apply it to all pages. So I'll just click all pages real quick. Now it's the same spot on every single page. So maybe there was something in the notebook or in the table of contents here or something that you need to update, or in the title block that you need to update. And then you can always come to these if you want, and you could right click on them all and you can actually flatten each of these. Well, select them all here, and then come up here, right click, flatten. But I'm just going to delete them all because I did not need to apply that to every single page. So a couple other little tricks here that I have for you. So remember, you can export things. So if I hit File, Export, let me find a Excel file or a table. So like you have this connection schedule. Actually, I don't like that one. Let's just use this one. So here's a detailed breakdown. If I need to get this into Excel or something, or maybe I'm using it something else, always just remember you have your export tool here. So File, Export Workbook, Word document, PowerPoint, but usually here. And then I like the page region. You could do the entire document, but we'll just do a page region. Sure, we'll save that there. Let it render it real quick. It's going to go ahead and open up Excel. And it's going to, oh, it did okay. It got an extra line at the top. So I'll just delete that. And there you have that detailed schedule. It recognizes every part and piece. So that's a really helpful tip for you as you go there. A couple other little ones. We talked about AutoMark. Just remember in your markup list that you have the ability to search. You can sort it by anything here. You can sort by date, by page label. So you have all that. If you come here in your markup list, you can add additional columns. So maybe you had a label that you wanted to use. You're actually using it for takeoff here. Also, you can markup, export these markups if you had to create a list of issues. So that will export there. And then you can actually, yeah. So that's the basic there. If you hit this summary, you can put a summary in XML format or CSV format. So we'll just go ahead and click. Okay, that's putting it to the desktop. I'll show you this quick export here. So the summary is probably the best way to do it. So there's, and then you can come in and clean it up and find some space. If you actually have your pages labeled, it will tell you there exactly where that issue is that you identified. Oh yeah, so H here, we have this is like, just type your H to start highlighting. And one thing I would do is on your tools, on the right-hand side, you see the little T behind it. So just start learning these text box tools. So H is highlight and P is pen. So if I click on pen, you can then, pen's hard to see when you're using it with a mouse. K is call out, or yeah, cloud. C for cloud. This Q, I use this one all the time and say, this is a problem. And then like cool thing with this is you can just click on it here, right click it, add leader. So you can just say, this is a problem. And actually, if you hold it, I think it's control, either shift or control. Maybe they changed that on me. But you can right click and add. So you can mark up as many things with just one markup. So if you're saying, Jaron, if you scroll to the next page, it's loading slowly, hitting H will just load a little faster. I think what that's doing is making it just get in that mode and load your content a little bit quicker as a different mode for you. Another cool little thing too is I didn't show on these tool chests here is you see these little numbers here. So if I type in the letter 9, I'm using that. If I type in the 5, I'm going to be using that markup. If I type in a 1, I'm going to go 1 as the highlight. So these little numbers here will tell you exactly what tools you are. And that's in my tools. So I can drag like maybe something like this up here. And now if I put in 10 on my keyboard, I can make that markup there as well. So that's a good one for you. Another cool one I'll give you guys is the visual search. So if I'm here, well, let's look for this 2, right? So there's this markup of 2. So if I come here on the left-hand side, go to search, I can use the visual search. So I can get a rectangle, go ahead and highlight that. It's going to find that 2, and then I can search. So it's going to find everywhere in the documents here. And let me put this tool chest back away. Go back to search. So here's all the different places. And it didn't do great. It found that 2. So I could increase the sensitivity here as it searched. It's really just looking for a triangle here. So that, and this is everywhere that it's found. If I wanted to, I can go ahead and check that box. I think right click on them, highlight them all. So it basically just highlighted every highlight, and then you can highlight all of them there real quick. So that's a nice visual search. Well, hopefully you found this useful. Hopefully you got a couple little tips in here. We could do an entire training session on Bluebeam. I kind of jumped around everywhere with this one, but if you have someone that needs help, just let me know and we can get them. Tool chest. There's also markup. We didn't even talk about or takeoff, how to do takeoff. There's a lot of little updates there. So signature, how to write a digital signature, how to auto create forms is really helpful as well. Like I said, here's your studio. There's a ton that you can do in here and make your life a lot easier. So thanks everyone. Thanks for joining and have a wonderful rest of your day.